this past weekend, down there in College Station, the Bryan College Station area, hosted the 2025 State 7-on-7 tournament, and with 128 teams from across the state descending upon the Brazos Valley to fight for Summer Passing League glory. And, of course, we had our crew out there covering it stem to stern. And throughout the course of the weekend, you can find all of our coverage on TexasFootball.com. Tons of great stuff, including our all-state team for the 7-on-7 tournament. While we were out there, we made sure to write down some notes and take things out. I mentioned this last week, that what you're looking for in 7-on-7 is not necessarily who wins. That's nice, But what we are ultimately looking for are clues that can help us tell what the fall is going to look like. Little things here and there, nuggets that we can take that we can say, oh, I paid attention to that. Oh, that's something I'm interested in. And so what I want to do is run down 10 things that we, the royal we, mostly me, I wrote the list, learned at State 7-on-7 2025. 10 things we learned at State 7-on-7 2025. We will start, number one, 2025 is the year of the quarterback. I think when you take a look at the 2025 State 7-on-7 tournament, what stands out is obviously, it's silly to say that the quarterbacks looked good in the passing league, right? Of course they did. But I was really blown away by the depth, caliber, and quantity of outstanding quarterbacks that we saw in College Station this weekend. Some we knew were going to show out, right? It's not a surprise that we were all very impressed with Hudson Humble, the quarterback at Harker Heights. It's not a surprise that there were a number of other outstanding quarterbacks that really hopped onto our radar. What was surprising to me was just how many really, I thought, caught our eye throughout the course of the weekend. And I think that what you're going to find is that 2025, going into the year, the crop of 2025 quarterbacks, whether they're quarterbacks that are going to start, basically. I don't want to say they're not just seniors. It's a very strong crop. And I think as a result, that's very exciting if you're a Texas high school football fan, that the quarterback play across the state of Texas, the quality and caliber is very, very strong right now. Number two, the Woodlands has the juice. It's capital T, capital J, the juice. So the Woodlands wins the 2025 Texas State 7-on-7 tournament in the Division I bracket. And I think it's really hard to overstate just how impressive they looked doing it. Because the Woodlands is a team that is no stranger to the State 7-on-7 tournament. They've played there, I believe, 25 of the last 26 tournaments they've made an appearance. They go 8-0 throughout the course of the tournament. Perfect 8-0. And more importantly, they had playmaking dudes all over the field. We're going to talk a lot about their quarterback, Jack Dalton, the TCU commit, who I thought looked absolutely spectacular down there in College Station. He looked great. But do not overlook the receiver core that he had. Guys like Eli Lancaster, who I thought had a really big breakout season. Colton Waddell, their outstanding big target on the outside. Those guys. And also the defense. And I think it's important to note that the Woodlands, I think when I think of the Woodlands, and I'm an old head, but when I think of the Woodlands, I think of defense. And their defense looked every bit the part of contender worthy. That is a team. Look, we'll talk more about what wasn't there in College Station. But overall, when you take a look at what the Woodlands put together in College Station on this weekend, it's hard not to come away really impressed and thinking that they are a real contender there in the Houston area. So the Woodlands, very, very impressive. Number 3, 7-on-7 pedigree matters. And this is an odd thing to say, but when you take a look at the teams that were playing in the Final Four of the state championships, or of the different divisions, it's kind of not a surprise, some of them, that you saw. Ganado, a team that's had great 7-on-7 success. Tidehaven, which played for a state championship the year before. They've been there. They've done that. Hearn has actually had great success in 7-on-7. Kilgore's been very good at 7-on-7. Chapel Hill, no stranger to 7-on-7 success. And then you look at the Final Four. We mentioned the Woodlands, how good they've been. You add in Willis, another team that was awfully impressive. So I think when you take a look at 7-on-7, there are other teams that are there every single year. Graham, right? There are teams that are good at this 7-on-7 thing. And I think that when you got down to the nitty-gritty of the teams that were contending late in the tournament, you saw that pedigree matters. We talk a lot about that in the fall, but I think that kind of translates over to 7-on-7 as well. If you're good at 7-on-7 traditionally, it was a good weekend for you. Number 4, until it doesn't. Because what is also fascinating here is that you had a fair number of relative newcomers and upstarts kind of crashing the state contention party in 7-on-7, right? South Oak Cliff, a team playing in their first ever state 7-on-7 tournament, makes it all the way to the state championship game in Division 1. Looked good doing it. That's a team that I think surprised people. Benbrook, a team that was really good in 11-man last year, really good in the season, surprising year. They were able to translate that into 7-on-7 success. We'll talk about Panther Creek, obviously a young program there as well. And then you look at a team like Coahoma, one of the Cinderella stories of the tournament, making it all the way to the state semifinals, a boy from West Texas, an awfully impressive run for them. And so it's an odd mix there of you've got teams that are like mainstays. It kind of felt like they fell into two different categories. Either been there, done that, got the t-shirt, or where the heck did you come from? There's no real in between there. And that made for a really interesting final group of Final Fours there in Division 1, Division 2, and Division 3. Number 5, it might be Tidehaven's time. So you're going to get the 2025 summer edition of Dave Campbell's Texas Football. This bad boy right there. I'm going to try to point to it right there. That one. You're going to get that magazine here pretty soon. Subscribers, it's being mailed out to you. Don't worry. And when you do, you're going to pop open the 3A section, as you are wont to do, and you're going to see that we think pretty highly of Tidehaven. Not going to give away their ranking, but we think pretty highly of Tidehaven. And if you believe in Tidehaven and you think that this could be the year for them, then this past weekend in College Station only makes you feel like this is the year for the Tigers. Okay? Cale Russell looked razor sharp all weekend long. And by the way, he's got playmakers all over the place. Bryce Silva, Boogie Galvan, right? They were exceptional. TJ Galvan. They had playmakers all over the field. Defense making big plays. Remember, this is a team that played in an 11-man, played in the 3 Division 2 state championship game in 2023. In 2024, they made the state championship game in 7-on-7. Think about this run they've been on, okay? 2023, December 2023, they play in the state championship game. June 2024, they play and lose in the state championship game in Division 3 7-on-7. December 2024, they make it to the state semifinals in 3A Division 2. And now, June 2025, they win the 7-on-7 state championship. That run right there of about 18 months. Is that right? Yeah, about 18 months. Pretty impressive. And if you want to buy stock in what Cale Russell and the Tidehaven Tigers have cooking, the thriller from the killer, you have got every reason to believe in them. I am in on Tidehaven.
Thriller from the killer.
Awfully impressive. Number 4, or rather number 6, I'm counting down. Jermaine Bishop is the Mr. Texas football frontrunner. So, of course, Mr. Texas football, the most awards, the most outstanding player in Texas high school football for the season. And I don't think it is out of bounds to say that Jermaine Bishop, the Willis two-way star, is the player to beat for that award. He is electric on both sides of the ball. He was arguably the best receiver in the tournament. There's another guy we'll talk about in a moment who could have a claim. And he was arguably one of the best defenders in the tournament. He was everywhere, making huge plays for a Willis team that made it to the state semifinal. And you may remember, Willis had a Mr. Texas football not that long ago, 2023. DJ Lagway, the quarterback, won it. Well, they might have another one. We said on TexasFootball.com that he's the Travis Hunter of Texas high school football. And boy, he looked it in College Station. Jermaine Bishop is spectacular. Absolutely outrageous. Speaking of electrifying, number 7, Panther Creek is 4A's most electrifying team. Now, Matt Stepp, we played the clip. Matt Stepp predicted all 3 state champions in 7-on-7.
He did.
And when he picked 4A, or when he picked Division 2, rather, which is where the 4A teams play, he predicted them because he said, hey, ain't broke, don't fix it. They've got the 2 most explosive playmakers in the division in Jalen Lott and Donovan Webb. And I'll tell you, their run to the Division II state championship, electrifying what they did. And Jalen Lott, a legendary performance to bring them a state championship, including the game championship winning touchdown against Kilgore in the title game. Jalen Lott was absolutely outrageous. I think Graylin Fry, their quarterback, is really underappreciated. That kid can spin it. And I know that like the weaponry he's got around him, guys like Lott, guys like Parker Ord, the big tight end. I don't know if he's tight end or like a big slot or whatever they call him, but like whatever it is, he can play. But I think Graylin Fry goes underappreciated there. He's a really, really good quarterback. And the explosiveness you saw on display in College Station from Frisco Panther Creek, your Division II state champs, worth the price of admission. They are going to be a problem for everyone in 4A next year. Number 8, 3 teams that surprised me. I mentioned one of them, but Coahoma. Coahoma was a team that I think was kind of like, oh, they're a nice team, but I think what they did last year, or this year in 7-on-7, really impressed me. A team to keep an eye on there. I think Dripping Springs surprised me. I didn't think they were going to have that kind of juice, but they were awfully impressive. I was very impressed with what they put together. And finally, I want to go with Kilgore. And it's interesting to say that because we knew that, of course, they played in the state championship game last year. They had some key pieces to replace, right? They're losing Jaden Sanders, their outstanding do-it-all athlete. But LaKelion Graves, their wide receiver, was everywhere in this tournament. And I think you have seen Kason Brooks, their quarterback, take a step. And I think that's awfully, awfully impressive. Number 9, 3 teams that reloaded. That's one of the things that we kind of keep an eye on heading into the season is, especially 7-on-7, you've got teams that that have big holes to fill, and we want to see how well they've reloaded. And so we got our first glimpse at a few of them. One of them didn't make it out of the first round of the bracket play, but what we saw from Gunner quarterback Knox Gage, I thought was really impressive. I think they're going to be fine at the quarterback spot. Maybe some questions elsewhere. I mean, they lost in the first round kind of an upset fashion, but Knox Gage is that dude. I think he's got the juice. And of course, the 3-time defending state champs going through a coaching change in the offseason, I think they're going to be just fine. They're going to figure things out. I was awfully impressed with what we saw from them. I think Lorena is reloaded in a big way. They run to a quarterfinal in Division 3, Division 2. I think they are reloaded. And folks, I think Lake Travis is back. Capital B back. Lake Travis looked excellent all weekend long. Excellent. And I think that the Cavaliers are going to be a problem. And number 10, clues, not destiny. We talked about this last week on Math Tuesday, where we talked about how 7-on-7 can give us an idea of what to expect in the fall, right? If you are good at 7-on-7, in the summer, then there is a high likelihood historically that you'll be pretty good in the fall. However, there are a couple caveats here. One, not for certain. All we know is that every team since 2021 to play in the 7-on-7 championship game has made the playoffs. That's it. That's the only thing that feels like it's guaranteed. And looking at the 6 teams that made the state championship games this year, I would be surprised if any of them missed the playoffs. That's where I'm at. But also consider the fact that not every team was there, right? Like not every team participates in 7-on-7. Not every team qualified for the state 7-on-7 tournament. So I don't think that you can look at this and say, oh, well, the Woodlands, they're of course winning the state championship. Mm-hmm. I think we can say, I'm looking at the Woodlands as a real contender. I'm looking at that. Maybe if I thought that they were going to be okay, I might upgrade that to, I think they're going to be pretty good. Same thing with Panther Creek. Same thing with Tidehaven. The thing about it is that all 3 of those teams we thought were going to be pretty good going into the year. And by the way, the 3 teams that they beat in the title games, right? South Oak Cliff in the title game in Division 1. Ganado, by the way, Landon Arriaga, their quarterback, they're going to be just fine. And Kilgore, we thought they were going to be pretty good. However, there are some clues that we were able to take from the weekend in 7-on-7 in College Station. And that should help you to shape your feelings for what the fall is going to look like. It's not destiny. It's not written in the stars. However, we did get our first glimpse at these teams, and we got a lot to digest. And that's going to help us in our analysis heading into the fall. So those are 10 things we learned, the royal we learned from the state 7-on-7 term. Of course, you can go to texasfootball.com/7-on-7 for all things state 7-on-7 across the state.